Hello friends, welcome to Global Tech Learn. In this video, we will practice a Power BI exam question related to UnPivot the Excel data. The question is, you receive annual sales data that must be included in Power BI reports. From Power Query Editor, you connect to the Microsoft Excel source shown in the following exhibit. You need to create report that meets the following requirements, and the requirements are: visualizes the sales value over a period of years and months, adds slicer for the month, adds a slicer for the year. Which three actions should you perform in sequence? And the options are: select the month and month number columns. Option B is select unpivot other columns. Option C is rename the attribute column as year and the value column as sales. Option D is select the 2019, 2020 and 2021 columns. And the last option E is select transpose. So now let's first try to understand the requirement. Here the requirement is we have data in Excel and that is in a denormalized format. So let's look at the data. So here in Excel we can see we have data as shown in the exhibit, and here the data is not in a normalized format. That means the year in row number 1, that is 2019, 2020 and 2021, is given as the column name instead of having separate column containing the years. So with this kind of denormalized data, we can see that there are a couple of challenges while plotting this data in the Power BI. The challenges are when we will import this data in Power BI, we will have the column as month, month number, and 2019, 2020 and 2021 as a three separate columns in the Power BI. So in this case, whenever we will have a new data, let's say for 2022, it will create a new column instead of updating the values in the existing column. So since this would be a new column and we have not referred that column in any visuals, it will not show the latest year sales in Power BI report. So as a best practice, we should always normalize the data in Power BI using the transformations, and then we start creating the visuals. So let's look at how the normalized data should look. So here we can see we have the normalized data where we have month, month number, and a year is given as a one column where we have all the years 2019, 2020 and 2021. And then we have the sales. So in this approach, whenever we will have new data, so for example, whenever the new data will arrive in the Excel, for example, year 2022, then we will receive the data in the new row in the Excel. So as the data is getting added in the existing columns that are month, month number, year and sales, it will reflect in the Power BI reports. So now let's go back to the question and try to understand what are the requirements we have to achieve from this data. There are three requirements. The first requirement is visualize the sales value over a period of years and months. So once we normalize the data or we unpivot the data, we will have the year and month column. So we can use these columns to visualize the data over a period. Similarly, we will have year and month columns, so we can use those columns in plotting slicers on the report. So now let's go to the Power BI and see how we can unpivot this data. So here in Power BI, let's import the Excel. So for that, let me click on the Excel workbook as the source. And now let's select the year sales file. And here we have denormalized data in sheet 1. So let's click on the OK. Now here we have pivot data or denormalized data in Power BI. So let me set the first row as the header. And now we have all the data. As we want to unpivot this data, for unpivot, first we always have to select the static columns that we want to repeat while unpivoting the data or normalize the data. So here we know that month and month number, these are the static columns. That means the month will always remain between 1 to 12 only. And the remaining data such as year can be increased. That means right now we have year 2019, 2020 and 2021. And later we can have year 2022 as well. And similarly, there will be new values for sales as well. But the month and month number will remain same. So let's select these two columns. And then we have to go to the transform and select the unpivot other columns. And here we can see now we have month number, those are repeated, and then year has been unpivoted from columns to the one column, and thereafter we have the value, those are the sales figures. So let me rename this column as the sales, and then let's rename the attribute as the year. And now our data is ready. Now let's close the query editor. Now here, as per the requirement, we need two slicers for month and year. So let's add two slicers over here. So this is the first slicer on the year, and then we need another slicer for month. And along with these two slicers, the third requirement is we need sales trend over the years. So let's add one visual as a line chart. And on this line chart, we need sales over the year. And now let's see if we are getting the sales over the year. So here we are getting sales for 2020, 2021 and 2019. So now let's go back to the our question. In options we can see the first we selected the month and month number columns, and then we selected the unpivot other columns, and finally we rename the attribute column as the year and the value column as the sales. So the option A, B and C are the correct options.